The space station hung like a silver coin against the darkness of space. It was the Galactic Coalition Academy, where young soldiers from dozens of alien species came to train together. Ships of all shapes and sizes docked here every day. But today was different. Today, the had arrived. Han stood at the edge of the training ground, stretching his legs slowly. He was 22 years old, average height, with a calm face that rarely showed emotion. His black hair was cut short in military style. Nothing about him seemed special. He looked like any other human cadet. His friend Park jogged over, wiping sweat from his forehead. Was the opposite of. He was loud, always smiling and proud of being human in a galaxy that looked down on Earth. "Did you hear?" asked, his eyes bright with excitement. "The delegation is here. I saw their ship dock an hour ago." Nodded but said nothing. He continued stretching. "They say they are the greatest warriors in the galaxy," continued. 8 feet tall, 4 arms, skin like armor. They've never lost a war. "I know," said quietly. Laughed. "Of course you know. You know everything about every species. That's all you do. Read and train, read and train." Allowed himself a small smile. It was true. While other cadets spent their free time relaxing, studied. He had files on every known species in the coalition, their biology, their fighting styles, their weaknesses. Knowledge was his weapon. The sound of heavy footsteps made them both turn. A group was walking across the training ground. At the front was High Commander, the station's military leader. He was a tall, blue-skinned alien with 3 eyes. Behind him walked several figures that made his jaw drop. They were massive. The smallest one was at least 7 feet tall. Their skin was dark gray and rough, like stone. Each one had 4 muscular arms and eyes that glowed faint orange. They moved with the confidence of beings who had never known defeat. At the center of the group walked the largest of all. He stood over 8 feet tall. His body was covered in ritual scars, each one marking a victory in combat. His name was, and he was called, the Unbroken, because no enemy had ever defeated him. Beside the warriors walked Ambassador, a slightly smaller in diplomatic robes. His job was to speak for his people, but even he carried himself like a fighter. Lieutenant appeared next to and she was their commanding officer, a woman in her 30s with sharp eyes and a calm voice. She watched the approach with an expression that revealed nothing. "Stand straight," she said softly. "They're looking at us." She was right. As the delegation passed the training ground, turned his massive head toward the human cadets. His orange eyes scanned them slowly. Then he laughed. It was not a friendly laugh. It was the laugh of someone looking at insects. "These are the humans," said his voice deep and rumbling. "These small, soft creatures." Ambassador smiled thinly. "They are new to the galaxy, only 50 years since first contact. They are still learning their place." High Commander shifted uncomfortably. "The humans have shown great potential. They learn quickly." "Learn?" laughed again. "What can they learn? Look at them. No claws, no armor, no strength. On my world, creatures like this are prey." Some of the human cadets lowered their eyes. Hands became fists at his sides. His face turned red with anger. "Easy," whispered. "Don't react." But was not finished. He walked closer to the training ground, his 4 arms crossed over his chest. He watched 2 human cadets sparring with training sticks. "This is their combat training?" he asked, genuinely amused. "They move like children, slow, weak. I have killed beasts more dangerous than these humans." Ambassador nodded. Perhaps Earth should reconsider its place among warrior species. The galaxy has enough soldiers. Perhaps humans are better suited for other work. The insult was clear. They were calling humans servants, workers, not warriors. Took a step forward, but grabbed his arm. "Don't," said quietly. "Did you hear what they said?" hissed. "I heard." "And you're just going to stand there?" Looked at his eyes moved over his body slowly, carefully. He noted the way the giant stood, where his weight was balanced, which muscles were most developed. He observed the joints of those four arms, the thickness of the neck, the slight favoring of the right side. "Yes," said simply, "I'm going to stand here." Shook his head in frustration, but he stayed where he was. Lieutenant watched with quiet interest. She had seen that look before. It was the look of a soldier measuring an enemy. The delegation moved on, their laughter echoing across the training ground. Other alien cadets whispered among themselves. Some looked at the humans with pity, others with amusement. But noticed something else. She noticed that had not lowered his eyes. He had not looked away from, and in that moment she knew. This was not over. As the delegation disappeared into the main building, kicked at the ground. "This isn't fair," he muttered. "They don't know what we can do." Returned to his stretching. "Then maybe," he said quietly, "someone should show them." 3 days passed. The delegation stayed on the station for diplomatic meetings, but was not interested in diplomacy. He was a warrior, and warriors needed to fight. The main training hall was the largest room on the station. It had high ceilings and a combat ring in the center. Cadets from many species came here to practice. Today, the hall was crowded. Word had spread that something was about to happen. Stood in the middle of the combat ring. His gray skin shone under the bright lights. His 4 arms hung at his sides like weapons waiting to be used. Around him, alien cadets watched with excitement and fear. "I am bored," announced, his voice filling the hall. 3 days on this station and I have seen nothing impressive. I have watched your cadets train. I have seen your best fighters, and I am not impressed." He began to walk in a slow circle, looking at the crowd. "On my world, young warriors prove themselves through combat. Real combat, not this gentle practice you do here." He spat on the ground. "So I offer a challenge. Is there anyone here brave enough to face me?" The hall went silent. Smiled, showing sharp teeth. "I have fought 200 battles. I have never lost. I have broken the bones of creatures twice my size. I have killed enemies with my bare hands. Is there no one who wishes to test themselves against the unbroken?" Some cadets looked at the floor. Others whispered to their friends. No one moved. Ambassador stood at the edge of the ring, watching with satisfaction. He leaned toward High Commander. "You see," said softly, "this is why they lead the coalition's military forces. Strength respects strength, and your cadets have none." Said nothing, but his 3 eyes showed concern. Laughed. "No one, not even the mighty, not the warriors. Not the—" He paused, his orange eyes finding the group of human cadets at the back of the hall. His smile grew wider. "Not the humans." Felt his blood boil. He stood among his fellow human cadets, his hands shaking with anger. He was not afraid of the giant. He was afraid of staying silent while his species was mocked. "I'll do it," said, stepping forward. But a hand caught his shoulder. Stepped past his friend without a word. He walked through the crowd, which parted to let him pass. His footsteps were calm and steady. His face showed no fear, no anger, no emotion at all. He stopped at the edge of the combat ring and bowed politely. "I accept your challenge," he said. The hall went completely silent. Stared at the small human before him. Then he burst into laughter. It was the loudest, longest laugh anyone had heard from him. "This," pointed at with one of his 4 hands, "this small thing, this is what humans send to face the unbroken." Did not react. He simply stood there waiting. "You are brave, little human, or perhaps stupid. I cannot tell the difference." Moved closer, towering over like a mountain over a stone. "Do you know what I could do to you? I could break every bone in your body. I could crush your skull with 1 hand. I could." "I accept your challenge," repeated calmly. "Do you accept mine?" The laughter died in his throat. Something flickered in his orange eyes. It was not fear. It was surprise. No one had ever interrupted him before. Ambassador stepped forward, his expression troubled. "Perhaps we should reconsider," he said. "This human cadet is clearly not a fair match. If hurts him badly, it could damage our diplomatic relations with Earth." "I will be fine," said. Looked at him with confusion. "Young human, you do not understand, is the greatest warrior of our generation. He has fought 200 battles, never lost, broken bones, killed enemies with bare hands." Nodded. "I was listening." His eyes narrowed. He did not like this human. There was something wrong about him, something that did not fit. "Let him fight," growled. "If he wants to be broken, I will break him." High Commander raised a hand. "If this combat is to happen, there must be rules. No weapons, no killing blows. The match ends when one fighter submits or cannot continue." Agreed. Nodded, agreed. Nodded, agreed. Lieutenant pushed through the crowd to stand beside. Her face was calm, but her eyes were focused on. "Aren't you going to stop this?" asked, his voice desperate. "He's going to get killed." Shook her head slowly. "No, he's not." "How can you say that? Look at the size of that thing." Did not answer, she simply watched. In the ring, removed his jacket and stepped through the ropes. He wore only a simple training shirt and pants. He had no armor, no protection. He looked small and fragile compared to the monster before him. Cracked his neck and rolled his 4 shoulders. Each arm was thicker than his entire body. "Last chance, little human," said. "Walk away, no one will think less of you." Took his position. His feet were shoulder-width apart. His hands were open and relaxed at his sides. His breathing was slow and steady. "I'm ready," he said. The signal officer raised his hand. The hall held its breath. The hand dropped. The fight began. Moved first. For a creature his size, he was terrifyingly fast. He crossed the ring in 2 steps, his 4 arms swinging toward like hammers. Any one of those fists could shatter stone. All 4 together could destroy a wall. The crowd gasped. Some looked away, unable to watch. His heart stopped in his chest. But was not there. He moved like water, like smoke, like something that was never really solid at all. The first fist passed over his shoulder as he stepped left. The second fist missed his head by inches as he ducked low. The third and fourth fists grabbed only empty air as he slipped between them. His eyes went wide. No one had ever dodged his opening attack. Before the giant could recover, struck. His fingers were not closed in a fist. They were straight and stiff, pressed together like a blade. He drove them into a spot just below his upper right arm, where the shoulder met the chest. To the crowd it looked like nothing, a gentle touch, a tap. Screamed. The sound was terrible. It was the scream of a warrior who had never known real pain. His upper right arm dropped to his side, completely useless. The muscles had locked. The nerves had exploded with fire. What began? Did not let him finish. He spun low, moving under the giant's guard. His palm struck a point on his left leg just above the knee. Again, it looked soft. Again, the effect was devastating. His leg buckled. He stumbled forward, trying to catch himself with his remaining 3 working arms, but his balance was broken. His body was not obeying him anymore. Hal gasped, "What are you doing?" Said nothing. He moved again. This time he targeted the giant's neck, not the front, where thick muscle protected the throat, but the side, where a cluster of nerves connected the brain to the spine. His knuckle pressed into that spot with perfect precision. His orange eyes rolled back. For a moment he could not see, could not think. His entire body shook as his nervous system screamed in confusion. 3 seconds had passed. The crowd could not believe what they were seeing. The greatest warrior in the galaxy was being taken apart by a human half his size. Swung blindly with his 2 working arms. The attacks were wild, desperate, moved between them like he was dancing. Each swing missed by less than an inch, but it missed. Dropped low and swept his leg in a wide arc. It connected with his weakened knee. The joint bent the wrong way, not enough to break but enough to collapse. The unbroken fell. 800 pounds of muscle and bone crashed into the floor of the ring. The impact shook the entire hall. Tried to push himself up, but his body would not respond. Half of his limbs were paralyzed. His vision was blurring. Pain was everywhere. Was on him before he could move. The human cadet locked his arms around his primary right arm, the one that was still working. He wrapped his legs around the giant's torso. Then he pulled. It was a simple joint lock. Humans had used it for thousands of years, but applied correctly, it could control any enemy, no matter how strong. Tried to resist, he was still powerful. Even wounded, he could lift a ground vehicle, but the lock was perfect. The angle was exact. Every time he pulled, the pressure on his joint increased. If he kept fighting, his arm would break. "Submit," said. His voice was calm. He was not even breathing hard. "Never," roared. He pulled harder. The pain made him scream again. "Submit," repeated. "Your nervous system is disrupted. Your left leg is disabled. Your upper right arm is paralyzed. If you continue, I will dislocate your shoulder. You will never fight again." His orange eyes burned with rage, but beneath the rage there was something else, something the Unbroken had never felt before. Fear. He looked around the hall. He saw the shocked faces of his fellow. He saw the disbelief in Ambassador's eyes. He saw the other alien cadets staring with their mouths open. And he saw the human cadets. They were not cheering. They were not celebrating. They simply stood there watching quietly, as if they had known this would happen, as if they had never doubted. 5 seconds had passed since the fight began. His arm was close to breaking. The pain was unbearable. His pride told him to keep fighting, to die before surrendering, but his body had already made the choice. His remaining working hand slapped the floor of the ring. 3 times. The signal of submission. The signal officer raised his arm. "The match is over. The winner is Cadet Han of Earth." The hall was silent for a long, long moment. Then his voice broke through like thunder. "That's my friend." The human cadets erupted in cheers. Other aliens joined them, slowly at first, then louder. The sound filled the hall like a wave. Released the lock and stood up. He looked down at who lay on the floor, broken and defeated. Then he bowed. A bow of respect, a bow between warriors. Stared at him, unable to speak, unable to understand. Turned and walked out of the ring. His face showed no pride, no excitement. He walked like a man who had simply finished a job. Lieutenant was waiting for him at the edge of the crowd. She handed him a towel. "Well done, Cadet," she said quietly. Wiped his hands. He was slower than I expected. Allowed herself a small smile. They always are. The medical bay was quiet. Lay on a bed designed for large species, his massive body still and silent. Medical machines beeped softly around him. 3 of his 4 arms were wrapped in healing devices. His leg was in a support frame. The doctors said he would recover fully, but the recovery would take weeks. For a warrior who had never been injured, this was a new and humbling experience. Ambassador stood outside the medical bay, his face dark with anger. High Commander stood beside him, along with several officers from different species. Lieutenant waited calmly at the back of the group. "I demand an explanation," said, his voice shaking. "What happened in that ring was not natural combat. The human must have used some kind of technology, a hidden weapon, a drug, something." Shook his head. "Our sensors detected nothing unusual, no weapons, no foreign substances. The fight was clean." "Impossible," slammed his fist against the wall. "Is the greatest warrior of our generation. He has defeated enemies 5 times his strength. How could a small, weak human destroy him in seconds?" "Perhaps," said calmly, "your understanding of humans is incomplete." Turned to look at her. His orange eyes burned with anger. And who are you to speak? I am Lieutenant. I am Cadet Hand's commanding officer, and I can explain what you saw if you wish to listen. The other officers looked at each other, nodded, "Speak, Lieutenant." Stepped forward. Her hands were clasped behind her back. Her voice was steady and clear. You see humans as weak because we are small, because we have no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. You are correct. Compared to most species, our bodies are fragile. Snorted, finally some truth. But you misunderstand what that means, continued. On Earth, we were not the strongest creatures. We were not the fastest. There were predators with sharper teeth, prey with harder shells, competitors with more muscle. By your logic, we should have died millions of years ago. She paused, letting her words sink in. But we did not die. We became the dominant species of our planet. Do you know how? No one answered. We adapted, said. When we could not win with strength, we won with endurance. Humans are pursuit predators. We can run for hours without stopping. We can chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. We can survive heat, cold, hunger, and pain that would kill other species. She began to pace slowly. But more importantly, we learned. We studied every creature on our planet. We found their weaknesses. We developed tools and techniques to defeat enemies much larger than ourselves. This is what humans do. We analyze, we prepare, we overcome. Was listening now, his anger giving way to something else. Curiosity, perhaps, or concern. Cadet Hand spent 6 years training in Earth combat arts, continued. Systems developed over thousands of years. Judo, Kido, Brazilian, Wing, each system designed to let smaller fighters defeat larger ones. She looked directly at. But that is only half of it. In his first year at this academy, Cadet Hand studied biology. He learned your anatomy, your muscle structure, your nervous system. He memorized the location of every nerve cluster, every pressure point, every weakness in your species' body. His face went pale gray. That information is not public. No, it is not, but it is available in the medical database for those who look carefully. Cadet Hand looks very carefully. The ambassador was silent. When entered that ring, said, he saw a small, weak human. He saw easy prey. But Cadet Hand saw a map. He knew exactly where to strike. He knew exactly how much pressure to apply. He knew exactly how your warrior's body would react to each attack. She stopped packing and faced the group. Was defeated before the fight began. He simply did not know it yet. High Commander leaned back, his 3 eyes blinking slowly. Remarkable. This is concerning, one of the alien officers said. If humans can do this to us, they could do it to any of us. Nodded. Yes, we could, but we choose not to. Humans do not seek conflict, we seek cooperation. We want to be your allies, not your enemies. She looked at. Ambassador, your people called humans weak. You said we were not suited to be warriors, but the truth is the opposite. We are the most dangerous kind of warrior, the kind that does not look dangerous. Said nothing, his mind was racing. Earth has a saying, added, speak softly and carry a big stick. It means that true strength does not need to show itself. True strength waits until it is needed. Nodded slowly. I think I understand now. I think we all understand. He turned to his officers. I want human combat instructors assigned to every training division. I want their techniques studied and incorporated into our programs. And I want Cadet Hand promoted immediately. The officers nodded and hurried away. Remained. His anger was gone. In its place was something like respect. Lieutenant, he said quietly, I believe I owe your species an apology. Bowed her head. Apologies are not necessary, Ambassador, only understanding. She turned and walked away, leaving alone with his thoughts. Inside the medical bay, opened his eyes. He had heard everything. And for the first time in his life, the Unbroken began to think about what it truly meant to be a warrior. 1 week passed. The story spread across the station like fire. Then it spread beyond the station, carried by travelers and traders to every corner of the galaxy. The tale changed with each telling. Some versions said had defeated in 3 seconds, others said 2. A few claimed he had not even touched the giant, that he had won with pure intimidation alone. None of these versions were true, but all of them carried the same message. Humans were not to be underestimated. On the station, life had changed. Alien cadets who had once ignored the humans now nodded respectfully when they passed. Officers who had dismissed Earth soldiers now requested them for their units. The human training sessions, once empty, were now crowded with observers. Notice none of this. He trained the same as always, arriving before sunrise and leaving after dark, push-ups, running, stretching, practice fights with training dummies, the same routine he had followed for years. Walked beside him through the corridors, grinning like a fool. "Do you know what they're calling you?" asked. "The ghost, because you moved so fast no one could see you." "That's a silly name," said. "It's an awesome name. You're famous. Everyone wants to know about the human who broke the unbroken." Shrugged. "I didn't break him. I just showed him something he didn't know." Shook his head, laughing. "You're impossible. You just changed how the entire galaxy sees our species, and you act like it was nothing." "It wasn't nothing," said quietly. "It was necessary. Now maybe they'll take us seriously." They turned a corner and almost walked into a massive gray figure. The warrior stood in the corridor, blocking the path. His 4 arms were no longer in healing devices, but he moved stiffly, still recovering. His orange eyes focused on. Stepped forward, putting himself between his friend and the giant. "Back off. If you want a rematch, you'll have to go through me first." Looked at with something like amusement. Then he looked back at. "I am not here to fight," he said. His voice was quieter than before, less arrogant. "I am here to talk." Put a hand on shoulder and stepped around him. He looked up at the giant without fear. "Then talk," he said. Was silent for a moment. When he spoke, his words came slowly, as if each one was difficult to say. "I have been a warrior my whole life. I was the strongest in my village, the fastest in my training group, the most decorated in my army. I won 200 battles because I was bigger and more powerful than my enemies." He paused. "But you beat me without strength. You beat me without size. You beat me with—" He struggled to find the word. "Knowledge." Nodded, "Yes." "I do not understand it," admitted. "I do not understand how you knew where to strike, how you knew my body would fail. I have never felt so helpless. It was—" He took a deep breath. "It was humiliating." "I'm sorry," said. "That was not my intention." "I know," looked at the human with new eyes. "That is why I am here. I want to learn." His jaw dropped. "You want to what?" "I want to learn," repeated. "I want to understand what you understand. I want to be more than just strength." He looked at. "Will you teach me?" Was quiet for a long moment. Then he bowed his head. "I will teach you," he said. "But it will not be easy. You will have to forget everything you think you know about fighting." Smiled. It was the first genuine smile anyone had seen from him. "Good," he said. "Easy victories taught me nothing. Perhaps difficult lessons will make me better." News of this meeting spread even faster than the fight. The greatest warrior had become a student of a human cadet. Ambassador, embarrassed at first, eventually saw the wisdom in it. He formally requested human combat instructors for military academies. The request was granted. Other species followed. Even the proud, who had never asked anyone for help, sent observers to human training sessions. They began to study Earth history. They found stories that surprised them. Soldiers who had marched through frozen wastelands without food or shelter. Sailors who had survived months alone on empty seas. Ordinary people who had endured wars, disasters, and hardships that would have destroyed other species. They realized the truth. Humans had always been survivors. They had always found ways to win against impossible odds. The galaxy had simply never noticed. Lieutenant called into her office one morning. He stood at attention while she reviewed a document on her desk. "Cadet Han," she said. "Effective immediately, you are promoted to squad leader. Congratulations." Bowed, "Thank you, Lieutenant." Smiled slightly. "You don't seem surprised." "I am grateful," said, "but I would like to return to training now if that is acceptable." Laughed softly. "Of course you would," dismissed squad leader. Left her office and walked to the training ground. Was waiting for him along with a crowd of other cadets. Some were human, many were not. "There he is," shouted, "the ghost himself, the man who changed everything." The crowd cheered. Alien cadets clapped their various limbs together. Someone started a chant that echoed across the training ground. Raised his hand for silence. The crowd went quiet. "I did not change anything," he said. "I simply showed what was always true. Humans are strong, not because of our bodies, but because of our minds, because of our will, because we never stop learning, never stop improving, never stop fighting." He looked at the crowd. "That is what I can teach you, not how to hit harder, not how to move faster, but how to think, how to adapt, how to win even when you should lose." He bowed to the crowd. "Now let's train." The session began. Humans and aliens trained side by side, learning from each other. Was there struggling with basic exercises that human children could do easily. But he did not complain. He simply worked harder. Stood next to, watching the mixed group with pride. "You really did it," said. "You made them respect us." Shook his head. "No, I made them see us. Respect comes from what we do next." He returned to his stretches, calm and focused as always, but saw the small smile on his friend's face. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget it.